Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chloe. I'm an art historian and arts educator here in Los Angeles, and it's the afternoon, but I have a ton of stuff I still have left to do. So I thought I would do day in my life as an art historian type of deal. I have presentation prep, I have tour prep, I have a million emails, and I thought I'd just walk through it to give a little behind the scenes of a kind of average admin research type day, but just kind of walk through what that looks like and how I put together a presentation, etc. So it's around noon. I've been up doing emails, been at my desk. I just am really bad at remembering to pick up the camera. So I am at my treadmill desk. It's just a standing desk with my attached treadmill. So I'm getting my steps in. Yeah, I'm gonna do some walking and then do that while I answer a million more emails.
I love you, although you give me fear and pain. You know I can't control. I hate you, although you give me all the reasons why I found my soul. When I sleep.
Okay, so I got through client documents for accepted consulting. I just had some statement of purposes to review. Today was their deadline, my deadline to get it to them. And now I'm going to work on a presentation that I'm giving on the 20th. So I'm working with this company, our clients, and we're doing a family lecture series on the key art movements of Western art. So we started off, I did Egypt. I also did a lecture for them on sports in ancient Greece. I then jumped forward when I got back from Switzerland. I did neoclassicism and romanticism. Now the lecture I'm presenting next is impressionism. And I get a lot of people interested in how I prep these things. So I just figured I'd show my process and then kind of talk through my process, and if I have any tips, leave them along the way. I've done a lot of these and it's kind of second nature. So if this seems really overwhelming, and say you're like one of my old students and you're watching this and you're like, I've done this for many years. So I built up to this. So how the program works is I have my orders from the client, which is it's going to be an hour-long presentation. We have about a little over 5 minutes of introduction, and then 10 minutes at the end for Q&A, and then it's webinar style via Zoom. And so those are my parameters. I know I have about 40 minutes of content to fill in the middle. And I know that the client encourages, because it's a family group, which means it's parents and students between the ages of 5 and 14 in this case, they really encourage observation and audience engagement. And so I do that via the chat feature since it's webinar. So those are my parameters. And then I know the goal of the program is to introduce the key ideas the key historical events that impacted Impressionism, the key artists, and key artworks. So that's kind of my thesis. My objective is that the students and their parents will come away understanding the basics of the art movement and knowing some key artworks. And I have my parameters of timeline and audience, because knowing your audience really impacts your tone, right? So I will be a little bit more relaxed with my language. I won't be as formal and as jargon heavy as maybe I would for graduate school presentation, right? I'll start off by saying, hi friends, how are we doing? You know, speaking more towards a younger audience, whereas if I were presenting to adults, I would be a little bit more, not formal, but just, you know what I mean. You speak a different way. So those are things to keep in mind, right? Your parameters and your objectives. In this case, I have a little bit of flexibility. If you're doing this for a course, you know, not as much. And then you really need to know your audience. But also, you know, because it's for families, not keeping it geared too young, because you want the parents to understand, but then you have 5-year-olds, so you don't want to go too heavy and totally shoot over their heads. So that's long and rambly. What I'll do, I'll show you kind of my lecture notes and how I put together a PowerPoint. And then how this works is I put it together and then I meet with the client and talk through my PowerPoint, my initial PowerPoint, my ideas of what I'll discuss. And then they let me know, oh, could you emphasize this more? I think this may be over the students' heads. Oh, I really like this artist and this artwork. Can you include that? And then we kind of go back and forth a little bit. So, long and rambly, but that's my process, and I'll show you how I do the PowerPoint. So I blew this up kind of big so you can see. Here's my thing when it comes to presentations. You never want to be reading off of a script. Now, in this case, for this presentation, I really don't have to do that much research because I've taught most of these artists before, and I just need a little bit of notes just to kind of orient myself. So I, you know, do my introduction. I'll know how long the intro by the client is, etc. And then I'm like, okay, what do I need to discuss? What are the historical events that led to the rise of Impressionism? Okay, those are the rise of technology and the camera. No longer need to use paint to create realism. You're competing with the camera. You get the increase of middle class and leisurely activities and then moving to cities. And these are all things that the artists are responding to. And so we want to explore these themes. So introduce them at the beginning and then explore them as we go through the artists. And so for me, I know I want to discuss Monet. He's the founder of Impressionism. I'm going to discuss how Impressionism was originally an insult, how it's a change in style. I'll use an example of artwork we've already looked at so they can see the change. Then I know I want to talk about Mary Cassatt, how the Impressionist movement allowed female artists to join in exhibitions at the Salon. Degas, how he looked at dance and opera, other aspects of city life, and then I'll fill this out more. So this is my basic structure, and what I do is I literally print this out and I have it next to me. It's really rough because, again, this is kind of maybe not the best example because I know the subject really well, that I just need a rough outline to help me present the material. And of course, I do a practice run, talk it through, etc. I can't screen record on my laptop because it's ancient, so we're just gonna do it the janky way. So, I use Canva for everything. Everybody's wondered how I get everything the way it looks. Canva. And proud little plug, my students always said I had the most aesthetically pleasing PowerPoints. I'm very proud of that. Okay. So I just go into presentation and they have so many templates, like so many, and I have this preferred one because it's this green, blue, and beige grids tables group project one. This is my favorite. I always go apply all because it kind of matches my brand colors, and I like to be like that, and it's so easy to use. I literally just go impressionism, and then I bring down the font size and pull it back down. And really, that's all I do. Obviously, I'm going to change that. Okay, so my camera's having technical difficulties, and I really want to get this done so I can get it done for the client and then show you. So when you're doing a PowerPoint, you want to make sure your images are of high enough resolution. And I don't know how many of you know this, but Wikipedia is one of the best places to download images of fine art that is of high enough quality, and it's free. Same with museum websites. Occasionally you may need to screenshot something, but because it's for personal purposes, you don't have to worry about a fee. Because it's a PowerPoint, you're not reproducing the image and selling it, filming. It's for education purposes. So now you know, and really you just go, it's super easy. So for example, I know I wanted Impressionist Sunrise by Monet, and it even gives you the entire citation. And you just go download original file, JPEG, and there you go. And you just upload it. And as you can see, I have kind of a chaotic method. I put all my images in the place I want them, or kind of lay them out, and then I go in and format it nicely. But I think I want all 4 of these together. I may do 1 and then 3. I don't know. But I kind of will put things in place. It's really easy. You just like drag and drop. Canva's the best if you haven't used it yet. Okay, I have to say this because when my students saw me use Wikipedia for images, they roasted me, okay? Wikipedia serves its purpose. Images are credible, and I know the images I'm looking for. It is okay to use it for some things, okay? Just because you're told you can't use Wikipedia as a source in your paper doesn't mean it doesn't serve a point. It's a good place to get images. It's a good place to kind of get a placement in time. Wikipedia isn't the worst thing. You just can't use it as an academic source. But downloading images, especially when you don't need to like list the rights of something, public domain images, it's great for that. You just have to know what you're looking for. Museum websites are a great place. But if you're like, I don't know what museum that one work of art is, and I know this one artist is really famous for it, Wikipedia is a great place to go and see kind of what are their major works. And oh look, the museum that the piece is at will be listed, okay? So to any students watching this, now you know, okay? Hello, it is now much later in the evening, and we had a little technical difficulties with my camera. Now we are back. So I think I'm going to end the video here. Really, a lot of my presentation prep just comes down to doing it a lot. This is my first round, so as I said, it'll go to the client and she will send me how to reorder things. Oftentimes for art history, either thematic or chronological groupings work best. Personally, I really like thematic. So in this instance, based off of what the client has told me she wanted, after a follow-up email, she wants it kind of grouped by artist, but I'm focusing on different aspects of Impressionism, like different aspects of the 19th century that each artist really emphasized. So Monet was ephemerality of light, and then Degas was ephemerality of time, and so his paintings were cropped like a photograph. And then she messaged me like after, like 40 minutes after I filmed that last walkthrough, and said that she wanted me to add more Pissarro, and focus on how he so I'm going to focus on how he really captured the changing city of Paris, how there was this big expansion of the streets and all this. So that is how I prep for my presentations. And then when it comes to actually practicing, I've had a lot of practice public speaking, like a lot. So really, I do a walkthrough with the client just to make sure content is how she likes it, and that's just a draft. And really, what I'll do is I just practice in the mirror, or since it's Zoom, I just open up a empty Zoom room and just start talking and practice it. So I make sure that I'm on time, because that's the big thing, is you never want to run drastically over or under. So that is my process. I hope you found this a little bit useful, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.